Welcome to the desktop of my brand new Raspberry Pi 5. This is such a new Raspberry Pi 5 that I've never actually done anything with it except fire up my Firefox web browser and go to my webpage here at askmrwizard.com, where we develop Linux Air Combat, because this video is going to demonstrate exactly how I install Linux Air Combat on a Raspberry Pi 5. And askmrwizard.com is our sponsor. They pay all of our expenses. Those are met by revenue we receive from people that browse here and click on our ads. So we appreciate your support in that regard. Now, to commence, we don't need to know anything about askmrwizard.com. You can go to any search engine and just type in Linux Air Combat. So I'm going to show that now. I'm just going to type in Linux Air Combat. And a lot of different links and pages will come up. There's a lot of information about Linux Air Combat out on the internet. The link you want is the SourceForge link, and usually that'll be the first link to come up. But we use SourceForge for our downloads and for our forums, and so that's why we're going to go there for our purposes here. Click. That'll bring up this page describing Linux Air Combat, showing some helpful movies and summary features and forums and things. There's the files where you can download things, but it turns out that what we want for our purposes here, the easy way to do this on a Raspberry Pi is to go to our discussion group, because we have a forum on Raspberry Pi that has some helpful things. So here are all of our forums, lots of traffic and lots of information about Linux Air Combat here. Individual forums, general discussion, bug tracking, etc. Scroll down the list until you get to the one that says Raspberry Pi, LAC on Raspberry Pi. This is where we want to go. Click. This is where we talk about all the different types of Raspberry Pis that can run Linux Air Combat. Linux Air Combat runs nicely on a Raspberry Pi Model 4B, on a Model 400, and it runs really spectacularly well on a Raspberry Pi 5. So that's all discussed here. Excuse me. I'm going to scroll down the list past all the sticky items to some scripts. Sorry about that. These scripts are the easy way to do stuff on Raspberry Pi. This script here, for example, script to automatically download, compile, and install Linux Air Combat version 9.61 on a Raspberry Pi 5 is exactly what we want. Version 9.61 is the current, latest, greatest beta test version at the time of this publication in March of 2024. There are other scripts for 32-bit Raspberry Pi OS. There are other scripts for 32-bit Raspbian. Find the script you want. Make sure when you click on it, you get the description of the right one. They're all very similar, though. And if you're watching this movie to learn how to do it on a 32-bit hardware or 32-bit operating system, it's going to be virtually the same. So we'll use this for our example. Click. That will bring up this posting that contains the text of this script. A little introduction here tells us exactly what we've been talking about. I'm going to get the text of the script by highlighting it, starting here with the text of the script and highlight all of that. It turns blue as it's highlighted, and I just scroll down to the bottom of it. When I get it all in my highlighted, I'm going to copy it into my copy buffer right here. So now, everything from here up, I'm going to copy my copy buffer, right-click, copy, so I can paste it into an editor. Starting up my accessories and my text editor, I'm going to paste that entire script into this editor right here. So now I've got all that text here. At that point, I'm done with my browser. I can close it out. Got everything we need to do our installation. And next thing I need to do is save this text as a file. I go File, Save As, and I have to decide where to put it. I want to put it in some handy place. I think I'm just going to put it in my Downloads folder. And I'm going to name it something simple and obvious like get lac.sh. It's a shell script, that's why I use the sh. I can name anything I want. We'll click save, like this. So now, I'm even done with that. Now I should be able to fire up a command console here. Oh, and now for my command console, I can do a listing long listing shows me all my folders. And notice I've got this downloads folder. That's where we stored that text. So I'm going to change to that directory, cd downloads. If I get a long listing here, ls-l, we should see that file. There it is. That's the script that we stored. I want to do some things with this script. The first thing I need to do is I want to make it executable. You can see over here there are no X's. It's not yet executable. So to make it executable, I want to do change mode, add the executable attribute to that file. Now if I get a long listing, we'll see it's different. See the X is here, that we're not up here. That makes the difference. That tells the operating system you can execute that script. So that's what I'm going to do, and it'll automate the entire process for installing, compiling Linux Air Combat and all necessary prerequisites and getting it fully running. All I have to do is type /get lac.sh to execute it according to long-standing Linux norms. As soon as I press enter here, a lot is going to happen. It's going to start running. And being a completely automated process, I don't actually have to do anything. I might be asked to press yes once or twice. That'll be it. And so it has a lot of explanatory text and some pauses for me to read it. So I'm going to try to read it fast enough to narrate what's happening here. But here we go. You ready? Press and go. Linux Air Combat installation script for Raspberry Pi Model 5 on a 64-bit Raspberry Pi operating system. This script will download, compile, and install Linux Air Combat version 9.61 on and for the Raspberry Pi Model 5 running on our 64-bit Raspberry Pi OS system. All the temporary files are stored in the /temp folder. This entire process will require about 6 minutes. Be patient. The script displays a lot of text to explain what it's doing and frequently pauses for 15 seconds to give you plenty of time to read these messages. If this script ever displays any error messages, you should abort it with Control-C. Commencing in 15 seconds. Press Control-C to abort. Checking to see if this has been attempted previously and deleting any related stale old leftover files. Installing the 3 main prerequisite software libraries necessary to compile and run LAC. Any that are already installed and up to date will remain unchanged. Press Control-C within 15 seconds to abort. Now it's going to get those prerequisites. There are 3 main ones, but they may have sub-requirements that bring in other things. It may bring in more than 3, but the 3 main ones will get in all the rest. Here's my first stopping point is, do I really want to install these libraries? And yes, I do. So I'm going to hit Y, enter. And you'll get some more. Looks like I want to make this bigger. Full screen. So it's unpacking the prerequisites to get SDL libraries and OpenGL libraries and the SDL mixer libraries that are necessary. I had to press Y again to confirm the one. Now it says we'll download the published LAC install archive for Pi 5 and then we'll compile it from source code to ensure it's compatible with this platform. That's one reason why this tends to work everywhere. No, I'm not sure I want this full screen. Okay, downloading it says. I'm going to take this off of full screen and just make it kind of almost full screen. It's downloading the source code now, and this will be a few seconds. I'm going to get this. For those of you who are watching this on a television, I don't want to go quite to the edges because you might not be able to see what's at the extreme left or the extreme right. So I made that a little bit less than full screen. You can see it's now done 50% of the source code. This bar graph get all the way across when we've got it all. I think it's like 70 megabytes in this particular package as a tar. Almost got it now. 97, 98%. It's got it. And it's like it saved it. Now it says it's de-archiving the source code from the downloaded tar file. Again, all this is automated. De-archiving the source code from the downloaded tar file. Next, we will compile the source code with the G++ compiler. You can ignore any warning messages produced by G++, but watch the compiler progress carefully. If G++ generates any error messages, you must abort this script by pressing Control-C. Compile process commences in 15 seconds. Press Control-C to abort now if you're not ready to monitor the G++ compiler messages. Okay, it's compiling. And usually you don't get any error message. In fact, virtually never will you see an error message. You might get one warning message with some detail in it. There are about 25 different source code files, and you can see their names up here as they go along. Each one gets compiled. And okay, there's one warning right there. That's the only warning we're going to get, I think. With some advisory notes, they don't like my style on that particular line. Continuing to compile here. There are two rather large files, main and mission.cpp. Mission.cpp is the biggest one, so it takes the longest to compile this one. At this point, we're probably 80% done with the compilation, or more than that maybe. So main takes a while, and mission takes a while. These other files go a lot faster. And now it links everything together. That's the linkage. And okay, if you saw no error messages from G++, then the source code was successfully compiled. We're there. It has been compiled. So next, it's going to do some more work to install some associated resources. Changing to the darchived new directory containing the executable that we just compiled. Copying the new compiled 64-bit executable to /Unix system resources /bin/lac for easy access. Copying LAC runtime resource files to a new folder at /Unix system resources /share/lac for easy access. Done. The latest, greatest version of 64-bit Linux Air Combat for Raspberry Pi 5 has now been installed. And there's some more advisories about how you can get more help about it. It's just that easy. I literally, all I had to do is press Y a couple of times to get this done. What did it take? Maybe, in this case, less than 6 minutes. To run it now, I can just type LAC. I can type that from anywhere, and you can integrate with this into your Pi menus later on, but for right now we're just going to show how this works. There are other videos about how to get this into your menus. I'm pressing enter, and here will be my first startup. There it is, Linux Air Combat. I've got my sound turned down low. Let me see if I can make that a little louder. Okay, I'm going to, I just clicked into it. I'm going to do a couple of things just to go to setup options. I'm going to make it run in full screen mode next and show it again bigger. And I'm going to increase the video quality and the view range. And I'm going to turn on the special effects. I'm going to exit out and start it again just so you can see what that's like. Turn up my sound a little bit more. Maybe we'll hear it a little bit better. I'm not sure why we didn't hear it very well. Let's hit LAC. There we are, full screen. I don't know why this movie doesn't have sound. Oh, let's take a look at the airplanes. There are a whole bunch of airplanes here. French airplanes, Italian airplanes, German airplanes, Japanese airplanes, British airplanes, American airplanes, and Russian airplanes. I'm going to go back to my P-38, which is my favorite, and we'll fly it in one of the missions. So this is what that looks like in my Lockheed P-38 Lightning. There are lots of movies about how this works, and most of them have soundtracks. I don't know why the sound isn't coming through my movie here, but at least you can hear my narration and see what's going on. It's just that easy, and this does run splendidly on the Raspberry Pi 5. Thank you, and that is all.